Hi friends! What's up turds, nerds, freaks and geeks, and all in between? It's me, your girl, Daisy Day, and welcome to, and welcome back to my channel. I'm genuinely blessed to have you here. And oh my golly, it is so good to see you. Don't forget, like, sub, hit the bell, and share if you don't mind. It's all free, and it really means a lot. I do have a bit of a doozy for you guys today. Lock in. Legit never fails. I thought if I recorded later at night, this might be the right thing to do, but it doesn't matter. Like, there hasn't been any traffic for the last 2 hours. It's almost 10 o'clock. But now that I want to record, everybody needs to drive by. Like, I don't understand how. Have you guys seen the news recently? You've been watching the news? There's some really eye-catching stories happening lately. From, the masses just nearly avoiding another race-baiting circumstance to a whole new color being revealed. Although I find these very interesting, that's not at all what we're talking about today. If you've been sub for a minute, then you already know how I feel about designer babies. I don't like it, and I don't like eugenics. I think it's offensive and should be avoided. But that won't stop it from happening, of course. And in fact, this entire thing was illegal for the longest time. That certainly didn't stop, the Chinese from doing anything about that. And I mean, no disrespect for these mutants I'm about to discuss. They didn't choose that. They didn't ask to be mutants. So, there's that. I truly mean no disrespect when I talk about the kids, okay? But there is a doctor who was jailed and imprisoned for this very thing. And now, genuinely, all he had to do was wait a few years. You guys remember, okay, I did a video and a TikTok where I started off with, respect them, says gene editing criminal, because that's what he was and is, a gene editing criminal. Because until then, we had done splicing and CRISPR, DNA, and gene editing before, just not to this degree. Well, this dude, he could not wait. Somebody had to do it, right? Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be the first. And that ended up in twins, which I call the mutants. And again, no disrespect to the mutants, just what they are. They jailed this man. Basically, all they had to do, again, was wait a few years and they would have been fine. Because China done flip-flopped. And here we are, to where it's acceptable and fine. There's been more articles coming out about how China is essentially attempting to breed super smart super soldiers, right? China wants to have, of course, the most advanced, the smartest of smart. That's a thing. For those of you who have seen that prior work I've done on this, yes, it's the same dude. It's the same freaking dude. Also spoken before about the CRISPR technology. That's important because that's exactly what this criminal would use to edit these helpless poor mutants. Yes, these poor mutant babies. What exactly did he do? Let me tell you. He used this technology to immunize the babies against the HIV virus. And this managed to disable the CCR5 gene this enables the HIV infection, essentially, right? It seems like no big deal. It seems like something small, no issue. But there was actually laws set in place and bans set in place in 2003 to help us avoid this very thing, to denounce this very thing. 2003, there was this denouncing of research into vitro embryos after the 14th day of existence and its implantation into the human uterus. Okay, so that means after 14 days of existing in its little plate thingy there, no messing around, and especially after being put in a human uterus. Human uterus. Of course, just like Elon, these people are just trying to do good, right? These people are trying to fix you. And you can see that I'm angered and disgusted by this, that people want it to continue. So what is it that we end up finding out? That these super mutants might actually have, what? High IQ. Super high IQ. That's what China's people are working towards. Breeding their children to have super high IQs. While the USA had an uprise in autism. Daisy, it's just because there's more testing and people are more aware of it. Yeah, that's part of it. But what brought it on, right? You can think back to when our parents were younger. This situation was not so extreme. And now, it's like you can't miss it. Feels like there might be a connection there. I'm just saying. It's definitely related to major brain functions. I do want to point out, again, as I always do, of course it will be that holy virtue, right? It's under the guise of helping humanity. It's almost as if there should be a connection made there, but we're not going to do that yet. So many of you may be thinking, but Daisy, gene editing has been happening for a while now. It's no biggie, at least for the last 2 decades. Regardless of whether we find it morally sound, yeah, that's true. And regardless of whether we consent or not, that's also true. And of course we don't, right? We don't consent. But as stated, just like Neuralink and what Elon Musk was doing, it will all be done under the guise to help humanity. It's funny that the man with autism wants to essentially eradicate the possibility Or he wants to give everyone autism. I can't figure that part out yet. Is it that he doesn't want people to endure it and for there to be no possibility? Or is that the US's version of this gene editing where that's their version? Like they want to give everybody autism 1 so that they're super smart. I'm confused. Y'all let me know. What do you think? So basically there's been laws and bans against this for a long time. And there's just too many risks. There's just too many unknowns. And many of those risks are unpredictable consequences. It's just a fact. These mutants now carry higher risks for things such as West Nile. When you turn one area up, it's going to turn another area down. Just the way it is. So we know it's wrong because the Chinese scientists who produced these genetically altered mutants went to jail, as stated, for 3 years. But now it's almost as if it's being praised. It's like they now are okay with this. And again, had he just waited, I guess it would have all been fine. And if you didn't know, the mutants are twins, of course, because of course they are. Perfect specimen, right? Because there's 2 of them. For those of you who didn't see the first video of me going over this thing, the mutants' names are actually Lulu and Nana. These are the twins, the gene-edited mutant twins. And they were actually created and gene-edited about 7 years ago now. Wow. When the criminal got out, he took up golf, and the strangest thing happened. It seems as though, he states, about 2,000 DMD patients had called and messaged him saying, we need you to call or, text them, so on and so forth. And they end up saying, we want you to develop something for us, some type of cure. So, of course, he's back in the lab, the criminal. Yes, this does come at a time where the lingering concerns of his past work are still there. It's raising new concerns as well, amongst others, especially about his motivations and the motivations of the Chinese government. Ding, ding, ding. There it is. At the same government that jailed him in the first place. But his conviction also came with conditions on future work. The government banned him from doing anything related to assisted human reproductive technology, imposed limits on his work relating to human genes. Any of these details were not made public. However, he did not respond when NPR emailed for clarification. Just as I stated, he says so himself, I did it too quickly. One late spring day, he invited the NPR to become the first journalist to visit his Spartan office to talk about this and his new project. And it quickly became clear he was not interested in talking about the past. He made a series of claims that they could not substantiate. He said, again, I did it too quickly. And essentially he did just that. He opened the door to designer babies. Eugenics, I don't... But within his new lab, he is still using the CRISPR technology. Of course he is. This new idea is a single shot that contains materials that will do the gene editing. What does that sound like to you? We inject into the blood so it spreads throughout the whole body to reach the muscle cells, and to get into the muscle cells precisely to pick up the mutant gene and make it functional, correct it. And a patient is going to recover from the disease, he says. A single gene editing shot. He said he's got some seed money, including 2 American donors, which he won't name. Does it end with Gates? He's at a stage where they want to design the experimental protocol and do some testing. Oh my gosh. Which, of course, much like Neuralink, will start off with mice, then it will move to dogs, and then monkeys, and then to humans. And it does make people nervous, as it freaking should, and I don't think people take this nearly as serious enough, unfortunately. Do you guys remember the amount of outrage and backlash with Neuralink? The amount of mistakes and horrific events due to Neuralink. The testing alone had so many of the wrong size parts put into these poor animals, knowing that it was the wrong size, to the point where those animals were just wasted. It's really tragic. It's really, really messed up. And one of the most disgusting parts is how the technology, the tools, they still had goo from these creatures. People think that this is just rehabilitation to his reputation. What do you guys think? I think it's gross. Say that he didn't just cross ethical lines, but the science itself was bad. These type of things, they take so much time because the risk is so large. I mean, it's not like hit or miss, it's a life or death, genuinely. And we know that for sure. Elon showed us. And I know he probably couldn't care about those animals, but it's just really tragic. A group of Chinese scientists and legal experts have basically called on authorities to ban him from these experiments, and especially when working with people. And he was already banned, so it's more like they want him to be reminded that he's not meant to do this, I guess. They wanted to have him investigated for violation of scientific integrity, ethical norms, and laws and regulations. I second that notion. Here's a part that's new to me. This mother trucker studied at Stanford Biophysics Lab. This dude, he had a PhD in physics at Rice University in 2010 and did his postdoctoral research at Stanford. So it does cause one to wonder, why would the Chinese government allow this convicted criminal to get back into gene editing? Yeah, ding, 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 hello. That's a concern. I need you all to think now about what Trump has been saying lately about these chips and computer parts and how we need to be leading in AI innovation and so on and so forth, right? It's the biggest thing. We have to be on top of it. That's exactly what this does. It creates a new race for supremacy in biotechnology, and that's where Trump is headed, especially with Elon on his side. It's this biotechnology, and you already know that it has a kind of nationalist dimension to it. It's important to know that this man is not some rogue scientist who went mad. He truly had the support of some to do exactly what he's doing. It is truly a mixture of recklessness and absurdity. Yeah, it's not good. It's no good. Basically, he's hoping that people don't judge him on his previous mistakes, but we do. And he wants to forge a new path ahead with more gene editing. And to drive this point home, he's already talking to sufferers of other genetic diseases, such as, others that could be a easy fix. He's not a physician. He has no medical training. He has no training in clinical trials. He took it upon himself to do what he did, to run what he viewed as a clinical trial. And now there's 2 mutants out there in the world because of him. And his final statement was, after extremely bad luck comes extremely good luck. And there is this concern and curiosity, especially now, especially with Trump's interest in being a leader in these specific technologies, biotechnology, AI advancements. Y'all, if you can't see the writing on the wall, I cannot put it any clearer. The U.S. has their own version of this man, except for he's a lot more orange and a lot more vicious. Just saying. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you agree with this? Do you think this is okay or acceptable? Do you agree with eugenics? Are you really that type of person? Anyways, hope you're doing well. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, do all that is free, like, sub, hit the bell. I really do appreciate you spending time with me. And don't forget, this is your very own free deprogramming session. It comes at no cost to you unless you do want to leave a super chat or a super thanks, which really means a lot, or hit up a membership for only $2 holla. Genuinely, that's how most creators receive income. So any little bit, super appreciated, but always take care of yourselves and your families first. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.